Hi VanLife family, this is your bonus Q&A for VEDA. First, let me thank our sponsor, Nomad Internet, for your Wi-Fi travel and home stationary Wi-Fi needs. Check out Nomad Internet, the link is down below. Also, the discount code CrystalVanner25 can be used for a discount on your service. So today's question is the last two questions from Alex, who sent questions earlier that I've answered already. So Alex's last two questions are: how does your family feel about you being a nomad? Was it hard being away from them? What is the most overrated and underrated part of the van-dwelling nomad life? Thanks, Alex, for your questions. Now, for your fifth question, which is two questions in one, I don't know if you may be new to the channel, but I'm going to answer it with a not answer, if that makes sense, because you might not be the only one who's new to the channel, and so I'm answering this for everyone who wants to ask this kind of question. Things I don't talk about here on my channel are politics, religion, and my family. Now, if you've gone back and watched some earlier videos, you may very well hear me talking about family matters. At that time, those things were being shared freely, but over the last couple of years, it has gotten me into some trouble. So I no longer talk about family things. I might do a mention of the fact that I have a son and a granddaughter, but that's it. I don't go into any more details about them, and that's it. So I won't be answering that question to really answer it. Now, as far as your second part of your question goes, I was asked something very similar by an online friend, so I'm going to use those answers to answer. They asked me the top 3 things that I liked about van life and the top 3 things that I did not like about van life. So it's pretty much a similar question, overrated, underrated type thing as far as this lifestyle for me. Speaking just for me, this may not pertain to any other nomad, may not pertain to another woman nomad, may not pertain to another solo woman nomad, it may not pertain to another black nomad or black woman nomad. So these things are just specific to me. So my most favorite 3 things that I like about this lifestyle are: 1, the freedom. There's just nothing like being able to pick up and go wherever you want, to see different things and know that it's not a big deal because you don't have any outside responsibilities as far as housing goes, or a sticks and bricks kind of job goes. You can just kind of pick up and go wherever you want. And if things aren't doing well, or you're not feeling well about a certain space or place or atmosphere, you can just leave. So there's just a freedom in knowing that you're not really tied down to anything. And so you can just are free to go and wander as you see fit. The second thing would be having all of my belongings with me. I have everything I need with me. So even if I go visit a friend, even if I stay at a hotel for one night, I can always run out to my van home and grab something that I may have forgotten to pack and bring into the hotel or into a friend's house or wherever I am. Everything is with me. Everything is within an arm's reach or a couple of steps away, because everything I own is with me. The third thing is that mental health stability. If you are new to the channel, you may or may not know that I have bipolar 2, depression, and some anxiety. So I was in therapy for several years. I was on medication for a few years. After going on the road full time in 2017, I really did not need those things. I didn't need traditional therapy, and I don't need pharmaceuticals. This lifestyle, being a part away from the rat race, the stressors that you normally would have helped my mental stability level out some. Not saying I don't suffer or have any issues with it. At times I do, but they are much shorter. My highs present themselves in hyperactivity and excess energy, which is kind of a good thing. It gets me out and gets me moving. But my lows, my depression times are much shorter. I've had a few bouts of depression being stagnant and stationary, but I know that's because I'm stagnant and stationary. If I were doing my normal travel this past year and a half, I wouldn't have these issues. I've been stationary in Virginia and North Carolina since May of 2019. At the filming of this August 2020, that's a long time. I haven't had that much stationary time in a long time. Now, as far as the 3 things that I don't so much like about this nomadic lifestyle for myself, the first thing would be negative stigmas. Usually, because you live in a vehicle, people associate everything negative with that, as far as being dirty, homeless, lazy, good for nothing, a drug addict, mentally unstable, couldn't hold down a job or apartment or whatever. Just there's something wrong with you, obviously, if you're living in a vehicle. So I don't like those negative stigmas. The second thing would be men thinking that I need some sort of protector or protection from other men. Most men, now some men, I'm not going to even say most, some men think that because I'm a solo nomad, I must be lonely. There's always that sexual component that they associate with me being by myself. Therefore, they tend to shoot their shot, and not so much in a kind way, because they feel like I should be grateful that any man wants to deal with a woman who lives in a vehicle anyway. So when they get turned down, it usually turns quite ugly, because they're like, well, don't nobody want you anyway, you dirty, blah, 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 bleep, 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 bleep. So I end up being called out of my name when I decline their offers for companionship or sex. The third thing would be, it's very difficult to hold relationships, whether that is friendships, whether that's intimate relationships. It's really difficult to keep relationships because you're a nomad, unless your relationships are only with other nomads who will understand and get it. I find that relationships with people who live the traditional lifestyle, they tend to fizzle, and you go further and further and further and further without talking to each other. The distance becomes longer and greater, and it tends to fizzle out because of distance, because you're traveling, they're not traveling, they're busy, they have real life problems, whereas you tend to have a little less of those stresses and are more carefree and more easygoing. Not saying there's no stress in this lifestyle, but some of the stressors that they have don't pertain to you, as far as housing and working traditional jobs. So yeah, and our time tends to be a little more, we have a little more time. They don't. And so sometimes when we are going to be coming into town, it's hard to sync up schedules and even see them. So you feel like, you know, what's the point of this friendship? Even though there is a point to it. And if you are both willing to work at it or be okay with having more sporadic communication, then it's worth it to me. Intimate relationships are more difficult unless you're going to end up finding a nomad who is okay with your type of travel, and maybe you guys don't travel all the time together, but you meet up every so often to have those intimate connections. And I don't just mean sex. Intimacy is more than just sex. But sometimes we need cuddle time, we need real world face time, we need touch, we need to be able to talk to the person that we're calling our significant other or otherwise. So for me, I have a unique situation with intimacy, because it's really kind of hard to find nomadic men that are black. I prefer black men. Nothing against any other race, it's just my preference. So yeah, it's hard to find, especially someone that I'm going to vibe with, that have a lot of little things that kind of need to connect in order to have that intimacy. And so that may or may not be easy for me to find. So yeah. So I just kind of connect with people as I meet them. And if friendships blossom, if an intimate connection can happen, that's nice. If it can't, then, you just have made a new friend and you keep it moving. So I hope that answered all your questions, Alex. I believe that was the last of your questions in your email. And so I'll be moving on to someone else's email starting next week. Again, this is the month of VEDA for 2020, and you'll be getting bonus Q&As. So Tuesday and Thursday will be a Q&A. Thank you so much for watching another video from start to finish. I hope that you're being good to yourself, and whatever you're doing, you are enjoying it. Mwah! See you next time.
This video was sponsored by Nomad Internet. Get a discount by using CrystalVanner 25, and a special thank you to all my channel partners.